brings us to this current challenge that we face with a lot of different systems that we're dealing with today, but our health systems are not designed for this level of complexity of health, and we know that standard tests can't see what this virus is doing, so we're just missing continuously all these complex unmet needs of people who are out of the healthcare system and don't even feature on the current NHS backlog. But if we get this right, and if we include this as the future of health, which if COVID is now a pre-existing condition for all of us, we absolutely need to see this as the future of health. And we need a new field of medicine to be able to tackle it. So this means moving to a wellbeing economy, which will ultimately unlock trillions. What it doesn't mean is leaving people with lived experience out of the decisions that are going to impact them, which we're still seeing, unfortunately. It also means rapidly accelerating the level of funding that is allocated to complex chronic infection-associated diseases. The level of ME funding has been pitiful for the last 2 decades because psychiatry has been dominating the field. And there's also the gender health gap playing a part in the fact that 75% of ME has been predominantly women. And we're seeing similar pictures in long COVID, but definitely a lot more men now also having a slightly different long COVID experience to women. Women are more likely to have more of the autoimmune reactions, whereas men may be at risk more of cardiac events from this virus. So infection-associated chronic conditions, what does it mean? It means it sits across everything. The entire model of healthcare in its specialist silos now needs to, and every consultant needs to understand this and how it plays a part in their specialism. But we're also going to need to build the future on top of it. And I just want to say a massive shout out to David Petrino, who's a kind of rock star in our long COVID communities. He runs the Mount Sinai rehabilitation clinic, and he's just set up a core complex infection-associated lab in New York with Amy Perel from Polybio. And the duo are absolutely trying to take this very complex picture and build and accelerate treatment programs and protocols around it. But this, I think, is really the key picture that everyone needs to understand, is that in healthcare we talk about having multiple comorbidities and complex illnesses in the traditional sense. And yes, that is happening. But on top of that, we're also getting system dysfunction and collapse in severe cases. And so you're not just getting one or two of these problems, these major multi-organ, multi-system problems. You're getting a lot of them, even all of them, all at once. And they all just keep adding and creating a bigger mass of inflammation in the body, which makes it harder and harder to recover from any of it. So we've got a huge job again ahead of us, and models and priorities will absolutely have to shift, because those who are not recovering aren't just concerned about getting reinfected, which should be a concern for all of us, but I've constantly been experiencing this on and off. It's not a continuous thing for me, thankfully, but for many people it is. Having little to no cellular function and still not being considered, that we can't even advocate for ourselves, because in some cases people can't talk, they can't walk, they can't eat, and when they do, it's using up energy in a sort of overdraft that they potentially will pay for later. And this continuous vicious cycle of post-exertional malaise, which is such a big feature of ME and long COVID, means that continuous activities and even working becomes a risk to health. So the opportunity again is that we need a different approach to community-led into pandemic decision-making. We've seen in the COVID inquiry that there's a emphasis on eminent professors and advisors who actually don't understand the science, the biomedical science, and have lacked the ability to even call this an airborne pandemic. I think it's clear that we can't continue living in this COVID forever world, and that we must clean the indoor air and add air filtration and ventilation to make it safer for everyone. From a healthy perspective, we can't just keep pouring money into short-term digital mental health tools. Positive thinking and the symptom management that we used to offer, and it's just causing presenteeism in people who are really too sick to work or be in their lives, unfortunately. It's not going to grow the economy, it's going to backfire. So we absolutely need a new model. We need a sort of Operation Warp Speed into biomedical treatment. And we need better leadership. We need to have long view leadership, which I applaud the Elders Foundation for really pushing this in all sorts of global problems at the moment. To be sustainable, we are going to have to become more inclusive in policymaking, change and innovation, and that's really the purpose of CoEQ.